Hey guys, and welcome back to the 1v1 podcast. I am your host, Vlhadus, and today I have a very special guest. He is my partner in crime on the Bernie Discussion podcast. He is the Roarrior. The Roarrior. How's it going, man?
I'm doing well. And yourself?
Today was a busy day, man. I'm not even gonna lie. I was debating to release a video, and I decided, you know what? I do my videos every 2 weeks now. I could have released a video, but I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna save it because I really want to see what is going to be the release for this Friday. So we all know it's the Ranger, but we want to know how in depth, what they're going to go into, all that stuffs. But you know, Roar, I mean, I'm sure, hopefully you've seen at least one episode of the 1v1 podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, so basically I just want to get to know you a little bit better, because I know, especially coming from the Bernie Discussion, right, we have an hour and it's 5 other people, so we really don't get a lot of times to really, you know, find out about like the individual as much. So if you just want to break down, like, you know, what games you've played, like your MMO experience, all that stuff.
Yeah, so my name's Roar, or Roarrior, whatever you want. And I don't know, I've been gaming a long time. You know, I played my first video game when I was 4 years old. It was, back in Atari days, and then traveling through the years, you know, and then I discovered the online gaming, you know, back in 1998. My sister's boyfriend, she's a bit older than me, and you know, she had her boyfriend at the time. He had, you know, at the time, a cutting edge computer, and I used to go stay with him on the weekends, and you know, he introduced me to online games. And that was all she wrote, man. I was hooked. So, you know, I started, he used to play Ultima Online. That's where I got into it. Didn't understand what I was doing. I had no idea that all the other people running around were other people. So when I figured that out, it was kind of mind blowing.
Right.
You know, and then I would go back home on the weekends, and we had like dial up, and we had, you know, just the little trash computer, and all I could play was RuneScape. And so we did a little bit of that. It just evolved from there, man. I didn't play Ultima Online. I remember my sister, for my 14th birthday, took me to Best Buy. She said, I'll buy you one game. And I remember walking around looking at all the shelves, and figured I would look at the PC games. And there was EverQuest, the Runes of Kunark, and I was like, oh man, what is that? That looks cool. So went home and installed it, and little did I know it was an MMORPG, and it just it took over my life for the next 6 years, man. And from there, I don't know if you remember G4 TV back in the day, not the current one, but it was just like
when it was good.
Yeah, you know, they had like Attack of the Show and all this stuff on there.
Yeah, man.
But there was this one show on G4 TV that got me hooked. It was called Portal, and the host of the show, he would teleport into all these other MMORPGs, and he had like this ongoing adventure where he would go into like these other MMORPGs, and like they had like a green screen, and it would show him as his real place in like the real world. But that's how I got to know about like Asheron's Call and the Dark Age of Camelot and all those other MMOs that were popular back at the time. So then I obviously went out and I bought all those, and I tried all those out. But nothing could hook me quite like EverQuest did. I played EverQuest for 6 years until EverQuest 2 and World of Warcraft both launched. And then that was a hard decision. But all my friends wanted to play World of Warcraft because of Warcraft. I wanted to play EverQuest 2, but I ultimately succumbed to the peer pressure of World of Warcraft. And through the years, you know, it's literally all of them, dude. I've tried every one of them.
No,
you know, it started.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, just all of them. I you know, we got into beta and played the launch of Star Wars Galaxies. I was a huge Star Wars fan, so I played the hell out of that. I don't know if you remember, like when they all started coming out, like the Matrix Online.
Oh yeah.
All Points Bulletin, you know, Secret World, all that stuff, moving up through Rift, WildStar, Star Wars: The Old Republic. Yeah, so many, man. I can't even name them all.
I just wanted to know about specifically EverQuest, right? Because I feel like the EverQuest, you know, there was EverQuest and Ultima Online, right? Those were like the two big competing ones at the time. Very passionate base the EverQuest people are. and I was watching a video that Asmongold reacted to regarding Pantheon. Okay, so it's
I just watched it. I think I know what you're talking
Okay, yes. So can you please, for someone, because I'm not trying to make or shit on Pantheon. I'm really not. But I am just trying to understand
It looks bad, dude.
why people are very excited about this game. Is it because of the people that are behind it? Is it because of like maybe the EverQuest developers are working on this one and they feel like it's like coming of renaissance, or like what?
I think about it too. Like, I'm excited for Pantheon Online, not like I'm excited for Ashes of Creation, and I'm not even that really excited for Ashes of Creation. You know, it's just, but I think it is the nostalgia. Like, EverQuest paved the way for 3D MMORPGs. Like, that's where it started. Like, Ultima Online, I don't know if you've seen gameplay, but it was like isometric 2D, very 8-bitty graphics. Like, it wasn't, you know, and then EverQuest came along, put you in this 3D world, and it was massive, and it was exciting, and it was difficult, and like the maps were limited, like you didn't know where you were. And obviously, you know, the internet existed, but I was ignorant to it at the time. Like, I didn't know I could just like go on Yahoo and just, where is this in EverQuest, and I might, you know, take me to some forum posts. Like, we didn't know. So
yeah,
you spent the time, and I think that's where like the world, like everybody wants to get back to this MMOs. It's massive. You got to talk to people. Like, that's what MMOs are, you know. And just because it says massive multiplayer doesn't mean you have to massively communicate with everybody. But back in the day, that's what we did because we didn't know any better. So like, if I said, how the hell do I get here? You asked in chat, and it created this communication. And I think that's what people like, they remember, and they want to get back to that. But it's just the way it was. It doesn't mean that that's what made the games good. That's just the way it was. So, you know, when it came out with this sense of adventure and this, just the scale of the world, and like, and it kind of gives me like, because I just released my video on the map, right? And the map's in Ashes, it's gonna take you 50 to 75 minutes to travel across the map. That was EverQuest. Like, if you needed to get to a certain zone, like, it wasn't completely open world because of the technology. So like, but the zones, individual zones, were massive, and they had like different pathways, and like you could like zone into different zones. And if I had to get somewhere that was far away, like, it was literally an hour journey. You're just running through these zones, and there were no clear paths, there were no roads, you know, aggro. The thing about EverQuest is if you aggroed a mob, it would chase you till you zoned out. Like, there was no like, you get X distance away and it will forget about you and turn around and go back. So like, you would create these trains. They called them trains, trains of mobs, and you would have to have like macros just to like respect the community, because sometimes there are people who'd be like just hanging out at the zone in, you know, looking for groups or whatever, and you'd have to have a macro. Like, if you got in trouble and you needed to run out, because that was the only way to drop aggro, you would have these macros like, train to zone, everybody get the hell out, because as soon as you zoned out and dropped aggro, whoever was there got the aggro. Oh my so then God. You would wipe the whole, dude, it was a mess. And with the death penalties, the experience penalties, like, it was a big deal. I don't know, man. It was the scale of the world. We'd never seen anything like it before at the time, so it was new and it was exciting. Right. And I think that's what they think Pantheon's gonna bring back. You know, people have this notion that like, this game was fantastic. It was the best days. It was the best years of my life, right? We heard about Vanilla WoW. We heard about Wrath of the Lich King. We heard about EverQuest. We heard about RuneScape. All the games we played years ago. It's like, that's when they were good. That's when they were amazing. And they might have been. But, you know, like, I don't want to go back to EverQuest. Because I know in the back of my mind, if all my experience and years that I've grown and adapted and absorbed all this new stuff, I know if I go back, it's not going to be, I'm not going to have that same experience. I want that to like stay in the back. I want those to stay memories, right? And I want like the current devs to expand and grow and give me new like nostalgia. And I think, you know, you see the gameplay. I think I saw the same Asmon video you did. Pantheon looks rough, bro. It looks rough. And that's what EverQuest was. Like, you had like a spell bar, right? But like, we're think about like World of Warcraft, where you have all these crazy combos and like, you know, rotations and all these flashy spell effects, and your guy's always doing something. Like EverQuest, you were literally like, this was your attack. And that was that was combat. That was it. That's all you did. If you were a mage, you casted some spells. But if you were like a warrior or a ranger, That's what you were doing. You were just auto attacking.
So here's my thing, right? We have games like Vampire Survivors, right? Like 8-bit, super old school kind of game, right? And I'm thinking to myself, was it a very conscious decision that with all of the technology we have in 2022 to make Pantheon look like 1999 again? Like, was that a conscious decision on their part? Because bro, like, this looks super
I honestly,
outdated.
Like, I'm not super following Pantheon. I follow it some, but I definitely don't follow it probably as an MMO fan. Like, if that game launched tomorrow, I'd fucking play it. Like, that's just all there is to it.
No, for sure.
But I'm not following it as close as I should be. So I don't know what their design direction is. But I can tell you, as an EverQuest player, this looks like an EverQuest clone. And we've heard it before about the WoW clones. Like, people just keep recreating the WoW clones, and it's like the same shit over and over. This is literally an EverQuest. Like, the orc or the ogre. The ogre is a playable race. It's literally the same model, but with like 2019 polished. Well, I can't even call them.
I was gonna say, wait, what?
Compared to what it was, that's what it looks like. And I'm like, you guys are just literally recreating the same thing. And if you don't add anything new, it's not going to go anywhere. Like, of course I think what they're because EverQuest they're still releasing expansions, which just it's absolutely mind.
That's nuts.
They still, I mean, I don't know, because we don't have any way to look at, like, you can look at Google Trends and stuff. There's probably a couple thousand people still playing that game. And they're probably hoping, like Daybreak Games or whoever it is, what the hell are their names? I don't even know. Visionary Realms. They're probably hoping that they're going to take all of the still current EverQuest players and just bring them over to their game, because they're creating that game.
I mean, clearly,
I still think it's going to happen.
I mean, well, clearly they have a budget in mind, right? So they are really trying to recreate a very grand vision on a super limited budget. Like, this honestly looks like what I thought Ashes of Creation would be like, because Ashes of Creation, again, it's a self-funded game. Like, thank God Stephen Shreve was like a multimillionaire, because if it wasn't for that, I would see, like, not saying that the graphics would be like a 1-to-1, but this feels very amateur, like, looking, when it comes to the visual aesthetic. Now, again, even Steven said it, graphics only go so far, right? The systems is but the graphics is what makes it nice, right? When you have good graphics, I'm butchering his whole analogy, but you know what I'm saying. He said it. And I just look at this, but I even look at the combat itself.
It's bad.
You said
I can tell you that. That's literally, it's
bad.
Literally
it's
EverQuest.
So bad. Like,
it is, and it's like, I hope that's like early iteration, and like they're trying to get things like, but it's been 9 years.
Yeah.
At what point do you say,
wait another 9?
What are we doing, guys?
Like, right? Like, we gotta update these graphics, guys. They're terrible.
Because of my EverQuest roots, I definitely want to see the game release, but like, I don't want to go back. Like, I remember probably about 6 or 7 years ago, EverQuest 1, because you still have to pay for that game. It's not free to play still. I don't even understand how, but they released a 2-week trial. A 2-week trial, and all my even my modern, like, friends that have never even seen anything, we all jumped into this trial, and we all had a fucking blast, man. It was so fun. But even after that 2 weeks, we're like, all right, guys, we subbing? We're gonna continue? No, we're like, all right, let's go back to EverQuest or World of Warcraft. And it was just, but it's just that nostalgia. It's just that I have those great memories, and that's all they're ever gonna be. Like, I don't need to go back to old EverQuest or Wrath Classic and just. I lived those days, and I don't want to, like, tarnish those memories because it won't be as good as I actually think it was. You know what I mean?
No, I totally get that. And even right now, I'm playing Wrath.
I tried,
and
8,000 you.
Yeah, well, the Mantric, whatever US East that I'm on, it's a dude, it is popping in that server, and I have yet to have a queue on that server. Thank God
That's
I picked
crazy.
that server. But it's been really awesome. The one thing I will say about what I love, because you made a point earlier to talk about the massively multiplayer and this massive communication. What I love, and this is something that's actually being replicated today when I'm leveling in Wrath or World of Warcraft Classic, is when I'm going to do a quest and people are just, every zone is busy. There's people doing quests. The world feels lived in. It feels alive. And I'm passing by and I'm a paladin and I'll see a hunter just roll by me and I'll just buff them, just buff them and buff the pet. And then they'll just be like, oh, thank you so much. And it's like, hey, no problem. And then I'm going off and doing something else to go into my quest. And then there's like another paladin there and he's there waiting. And I'm like, hey, are you waiting for this spawn? Yeah. He just sends me a party invite and we group up, like all these natural ways to just meet strangers. And I think that's what I miss the absolute most, is because in retail, there's never a reason to invite anybody. It's more of a hindrance than an actual help. And it's like, because you can do everything by yourself. So why are you going to invite somebody? It just slows you down. But in Classic, there's so many opportunities for you to meet the passerby or to see that person working on their professions. Even the professions in Classic aren't the best. But let me tell you, people saying, hey, I have Fury enchant, or I have Mongoose enchant, or, hey, looking for work. I see people literally calling for mages to get mage ports from different major cities. It just feels so much more alive than on retail.
And that's the thing that I think retail messed up on. Retail did its best to keep the social interaction where they felt it needed to be, and that's when it only came to group content.
Right.
Everything else has been created for a single player experience.
Right.
And you're right. It goes from selling my enchantments to, in the current retail, selling these runs, and it's definitely lost its appeal for somebody who wants to feel like the game is alive, for players to be servicing each other in the ways that seem necessary, versus what it is now, when you're absolutely right. The personal loot, you have no reason to even worry about loot. I can literally flick a peanut at that boss you're killing and I'll now get credit for it.
Yeah,
and it's
basically
just that, it goes in Classic WoW. Just recently I was leveling my Death Knight, and if I see somebody killing that named mob that I need for my quest, invite me before I kill it, and they're like, oh shit, and they try to invite you that, just the little stuff like that makes sense, that forces you to talk to somebody. And then and I think that's fine. But I think about, I might have just changed over the years, I don't really know, but I like these MMOs that give me that option. If I want to not talk to anybody and just play, I can do that.
Right.
I can go solo, or I can work on my professions, or it gives me the or if I just want to grind some story missions. I don't know about you, I'm all for the whole sandbox experience. I think it's a great idea, but goddamn, there's something about these the whole, you are the chosen one, the warrior elite, you've had this really epic story mission. I dig that. I really, really, really do.
A lot of people do. I think I think it's just, I think the tropes weren't off on a lot of people though. I don't care either way. I actually don't mind just being an adventurer. I'm no one special, but I am gonna make my name in the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's no set quest that I'm destined to be this grandiose thing, but I could be that if I work hard enough. And I kind of like that kind of overlord approach, right? I don't know if you've seen the anime Overlord, but
absolutely.
But it's I'm gonna make my name in the world. You know what I mean? Just being a lowly adventurer, and I think with Ashes, that's what kind of really appeals to me. I was actually watching your video about raiding, because I think me and you feel pretty on the nose with this one. And the one thing that I kept on thinking of when I was watching your most recent video was about, because we're talking about WoW clone, right? And how there's this formula that's being done, right? Like, so when you make a WoW clone, you got to have your dungeons, you got to have your instance raids, and then, you know, solo leveling or whatever. You know, not to go off of anybody from ArcAge or knock anyone that played ArcAge, but ArcAge was not the phenomenon that World of Warcraft was. Okay, it really truly wasn't. So I think there is a whole majority of players that have never experienced like caravans, castle sieges, like grand battles. Because in World of Warcraft, a grand battle was 40 versus 40. Like, that's a grand battle. And it was a laggy grand battle. So, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you think Ashes of Creation could be known for just something different than instance rating? As much as me and you love it, could it go off the beaten path and actually introduce to, I think, a majority of MMO players that have never, because I see it all the time when it comes to Throne and Liberty, even in the comments of that video of the trailer. Oh my God, castle sieges? That's crazy. I've never seen that. But there was a number of MMOs that did it. Dark Age of Camelot did it. ArcAge did it. You know, I think BDO has something to that effect. I don't know if I'm wrong on that one.
ESO has it.
Okay, yeah, ESO. So, but all I'm saying is, like, I feel like because I'm a World of Warcraft Andy, I feel like there's a lot of people in my position that have never experienced these features. So does it need to have the traditional rating, or could it be known for this brand new thing that a lot of players have not been exposed to?
You know, and that's just the thing, is it's hard to say. Like, I hope that it can. You know, I hope that what our ultimate goal here for, you know, spreading the word of Ashes and talking about the pros and the cons and trying to make people aware is, like, the more people we can make aware, the more opinions we're going to hear from. And, you know, Steven is this guy that I'm, you know, and I'm convinced at this point in time, like, I hope I'm wrong, that he's just making his game for him. Right. You know, he had some fun adventures like we were just talking about. Right. He 10-15 years ago, he had these epic adventures. No game kept up with that, or he just got so used to him he didn't notice he was still doing them, kind of thing. And he says, "Fucking, I'm going to remake that stuff." Well, you know, and that's fine. And, you know, but my question I always ask is, he making the game for him, or is he making the game because he actually wants it to be successful? And I always get, like, it's a hot take, right? And I always get bashed for it. I get bashed for it bad, like everybody's gonna love this game, blah blah. And I'm like, all right, man, but you got to think about it. All these systems were in games that are dead. Why? Yep.
No, it's true.
And the argument is, and the argument is, yeah, we've seen all these systems in games, but we've never seen them all together. I'm like, well, even if they're all together, they're still not all functioning at the same time. So why are they going to survive this time? So, you know, I've never played a game that's only had that type of open world content. I played EverQuest, which but it was kind of the same, but kind of not. But it was so long ago that I don't remember if I was a kid, man. I was, you know, I was 15, 16, 17. The height of my EverQuest rating experience, I was 18 years old. So, you know, what do I have? I was just there happy to, you know, I was just having a good time. And it's not like the bosses were, you know, the bosses weren't super involved. They had some mechanics, but not anything like we see today. So it was basically just dodge this one ability or react to that ability, and then just don't stand in shit and auto attack. And you're going to win, right? But the cool thing about that is, you know, they weren't instanced. So if another 40-man raid showed up while we were fighting the boss, it was first come, first serve. But the cool thing about it was there's no PvP. You didn't have to worry about it. There was no interference.
Right.
And you know, and this is another comment that I get about open world raids. And I get this comment a lot from a couple different people. And they say, you know, games like this in the past, we would create schedules. Like, the community would get together and we would create schedules. On Monday at 5, this guild kills that boss. On Tuesday at 6, this guild kills that boss. And I'm like, that's fine. That's an awesome system. Did those games have open PvP? And the thing is you can have, and this is the other thing that's different, is content streamers. Okay. Oh, yeah. Like, you got to think about this shit. Even if the server, even if like 10 guilds are respecting the schedule to a T, right? We're cool,
Right.
we're friendly, we're allied. You guys kill it on Tuesday. There's that streamer out there who's telling his community right now, hey guys, when I say go, we're gonna jump them and we're just gonna make an awesome clip out of it. Right? That they're gonna do it for the content, for the jokes, for the lulz, and it's
Right.
gonna ruin experiences. So like, there's a lot of things happening that we didn't have before. So will Ashes kind of take off and be known for this? I hope so. I want it to. I'm not saying that I won't enjoy this content because I've played it before and I know that I enjoy it, but I also really enjoy instance raids. Like, there's just something about it. Like, you bring your bag of candy and your root beers or fucking Mountain Dews, you sit down with the boys, you have 3 hours to just go kill bosses, make some progress, get some loot. It's going to be a good time. I don't foresee a world where that happens in Ashes because one, yeah, it's 6 o'clock Tuesday night. Got my bag of Reese's, got my Mountain Dews. Let's go get that boss. We get there. Oh, it's been killed. It's not going to respawn for 11 hours. What do you guys want to do now? Or, all right, boss is here. Let's fight it. And then 3 other guilds show up that also want it. And then you just get into a massive PvP battle and just accumulate death penalties for the next 3 hours instead. Like, there's a lot of variation.
I completely understand your point. And, when it comes to a lot, because because of how WoW and a lot of MMOs are structured, we've been able to really time base ourselves to be as efficient as possible. And especially like with this min-max philosophy we've been developing, I think, not just in World of Warcraft, but hell, in any MMO. Everything. We are literally racing all the time for everything. For no reason. Like, okay, like there's some people that just want to be the best, want to be the fastest, want to get the thing first. I understand that. But why is everybody in this race? Like, why does everybody get penalized for not having that mindset? And I guess when I think about, oh, the world boss is dead, what are we going to do for the next 11 hours? Anything else? Like,
exactly.
I think the other thing about it too is that people haven't been told no or you can't in MMOs in a long time. And this may be a hot take, but all I'm saying is that this game, when Steven Sharif says this game's not going to be for everybody, he probably really means that.
Absolutely. But I agree with him. And I guess, the fear that you and I have is, well, how much people is this going to alienate? You know what I mean? Because that to me is, even though I'm fine with that, with the fact that, you're not going to kill that world boss at 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. whenever your raid says that was the time you were going to do it, because it's dead. You know what I mean? I'm fine with that. But I think a lot of players are going to have to pivot, adjust in a completely different way that we've never had to before. And I think because of that, because here's another kind of hot take too. I thought a lot of people were going to shit on Elden Ring, because Elden Ring, I mean, in the beginning, it's a hard game. And a lot of casuals played that game. And I saw some girls that were struggle busting on that game. But guess what? Hey, they got further than me in that game. I mean, I don't really care for that game. It's not for me. Girl who just beat the hardest boss.
Dude, one-handed. One-handed.
That's crazy.
Bro. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think there's this culture of stepping up to the plate, almost like manning up and being like, this is hard. It's meant to be hard, but guess what? I'm going to take this on and I'm going to do it. Do you think that mindset, because of today's culture, can surpass this Care Bear culture when it comes to MMOs? Or do you think it's just two different genres of people?
But I don't know, man. I think about it a lot, because there are difficult games that exist in the world today.
For sure.
And I have to ask myself, like, why doesn't this person play that game or whatever? Like, Elden Ring is a perfect example. And I think about that too. And it's like, one, Elden Ring is a solo experience. Of course, you can have like the invaders come in, like the PvP invaders come in and mess with you and that kind of stuff. But most of the time, you're going to be
just by yourself.
If you fuck up, it's your own fault. And I don't know if I didn't play Elden Ring. I don't know if it's like Dark Souls or Bloodborne, where you like lose your souls or your blood and everything, and you have to go pick it back up, kind of stuff.
Oh, you do, yeah.
And I don't know if like you'll like lose your gear and shit on death, but if you don't, right,
I don't think
it's you just run back and do it again, right? And you
Basically.
try and try. But what if Elden Ring had 100 other players that were also doing the same thing you did,
right,
at the same time, you know? And I have to wonder, like, if it's a solo experience, people kind of get over it. If it's a group experience where I'm griefing you while you're trying to do something, it's no longer your fault. That equation has changed. Now it's my fault that you're having a bad time. How long until you lose your shit and stop logging in? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's think about Fall Guys. I always think about Fall Guys because Fall Guys was a difficult game.
It can be frustrating.
For some of those people, getting through these, and this is a great example of exactly what I'm talking about. Getting through the obstacles wasn't difficult. What made it difficult was the 99 other people fucking with you when you tried to do it.
Yeah.
Right? You would watch streamers lose their mind, like Tim the Tatman. I love watching Tim the Tatman's clips when he was trying to get one crown. He couldn't get one win.
Right.
And watching the other players just grab onto him and drag him down into the depths. Like, fundamentally, it's not hard. It's an obstacle course. You're going to get through it. But it wasn't his fault. He wasn't getting through it.
Right.
That's the exact same thing that's going to happen in this game. And I do foresee that. Not always, of course, right?
Well, I think the biggest thing, right, is guilds and a community is going to really matter.
Right.
Because the other thing that I think is probably going to happen is almost like server status report checks. Like, I think there's going to be, and the reason why I say that is because I know there's going to be like a Channel 3 News YouTube thing that's going to happen for Ashes, and they're just going to literally report on, you know, what's happened in servers. Like, oh, and you know, Mandrick US server, they actually downed the first world boss and and just
a great content idea.
It really is. But I think what also is going to end up happening is certain reputations being developed on servers. Like, as an example, there actually may be a PvE server because everybody that goes to that server it's almost just, we can PvP, but everybody that goes to that server just knows we're here to just mainly PvE. We want to do all the PvE content. And
that's what they did back in WoW days, where they created like the pseudo RP servers before we got official RP servers and stuff like that.
Right. And I think I think you're going to have, like, if you're like hungering for PvP, there'll be servers that are going to be bloodthirsty PvPers, pirates, you know, the whole bandit system, corrupted players. I believe, you know, and every server may have a sprinkling of those things. But what I'm just saying is, sorry, is that I think that there's just going to be a certain reputation that each server is going to have. And it's like, hey, if you want a little bit of everything, this server pretty much does everything. But if you really want to lean into freaking naval, like, Olympus server is where you want to go, because that's where the craziest naval shit happens. And
I definitely foresee that.
And if that does happen, Roar, I feel people could find their place in Ashes, because I do agree with you that if you are by yourself and you don't know, or you don't have a community in mind, or you don't have a guild that you're under their banner, it could be a very frustrating process for you playing Ashes of Creation. But I feel like once you find, and especially in today's day and age with Discord, with the forums, I mean, dude, you can easily find a guild, which back in the day, it was, back in the day, it was way more troublesome to find a good guild. Basically back then, you just took whatever guild accepted you and you kind of dealt with it, you know. Nowadays you can guild hop, you can try out all these different
guilds.
There's no
loyalty anymore.
Yeah, there's no loyalty anymore, but there are a lot of people that do want to pledge allegiance to a guild and just be with a good group of people. And so I feel like that's why I myself, like, when I got out of the WoW community, I went to the Ashes Discord. I started watching YouTubers. That's how I found Zillan, and went to Zillan's Discord, met him, talked to him. I met Tin Man. I met It's Fane. I met Bardic. I met the, you know, two guys in a Bard guys. And it's just ever since I've done that, it's like I now know so many people from the Ashes community that it's, you know, I feel like I've done my part. And I feel like if you're watching and you haven't really thrust yourself in the community or got to know anybody, or you're not even in a guild for Ashes yet, I strongly recommend doing that now. Because if you can do it now, the one thing why people leave guilds is because personalities. You don't like the guild leader, there's an officer you don't like, there's just a certain person that's always in the Discord that you just can't stand. You can find all of that stuff out now rather than when the game's live going, because then it's going to be even more of a headache, you know, because now the game's going and just like, and because guilds are really going to matter, if you start finding your guild now and establish yourself and meet these people, you're going to have a whole year and a half, 2 years to really know these people by the time Ashes comes out. So
absolutely. I had this guy in my comments the other day. He was just telling me, I think we were talking about my crafting video I did.
Oh, great video, by the way, dude. Your content, man, I just want to say it is stellar. Like, it is really good, dude. The music, the editing, like how you keep your voice tempo, it's good, man.
Most of my content is based around, you know, kind of the same stuff I'm talking about here, where, you know, I have some good and I have some bad. Like, I hear there's so many,
but I like that. I like the fact you keep yourself based, like you keep yourself like not being a hype train. Yeah, but you're a realist, and that's how I like
it a lot, though.
Yeah, it's fine. I hear about it. So do I. So do I.
Yeah, but I had this guy in my comments, and he's basically like, you know, I am a solo player all the time. And he's like, all I want to do is think about how I can join groups and sabotage them and kill them and take all their stuff. And I'm like, God, that's gonna be. I mean, if you could pull it off, that makes for some great content. Like, God damn, that's a miserable way to play sometimes.
You can do that.
Work out in the future.
You can do that once, probably.
Yeah.
Before that guild blacklists you and then tells all the other guild leaders about you as well. And if you have that character maxed out, like, there ain't going to be a name change. Like, I think Steven basically said that there's not going to be those quality of life things where you can just do a name change to your character. Now you're someone else. Right. So
I just kept thinking about, like, man, that's gonna be hard, dude. It's gonna. You should probably rethink that approach, but you know, it's just, it opens a lot of doors. It opens a lot of questions. You know, Steven has a vision, and I hope that more than not, players are going to be drawn to it, because I keep thinking back to his one quote, his one interview where he says, you know, expansions, content updates, all this stuff is going to be dependent on the subscription count.
Right.
And I'm just thinking to myself, what number justifies like that idea? You know, what number do you have in mind? Like, because every single video you make, you get the guys that are like, love it, nope, hate it, won't even play it.
Yep.
And it's just like an even split.
Yep.
And you know, every content creator has said it, like you just did. This game's not going to be for everyone. How much are these systems going to alienate the player base? And I think to myself, what is it, 10, 20,000 subs? You know, nobody wants to, like, as a fan of New World, you know, I'm not completely on board with their early choices, but like, it sucks, you know, typing in, you know, New World Steam charts in Google and looking at them and just seeing the players drop. Nobody wants to see their game die. Oh. And I have these, you know, and it's happened to every single MMO. It even happens to WoW. You know, Narc loves to say WoW's dead. It's not. It's far from it.
Classic is booming, bro. Holy crap.
It's actually never been more alive. And either one, that's because it is doing some things that are right.
Right. Retail's dead. That's for sure.
Right. It's really not, though, because like you can go into WoW Progress and there's literal hundreds of thousands of players still. Like, I mean, there are, because of the mega servers, they all feel alive. Even if you're on a low end server, they throw you into a mega server. You're not anymore. And that's just the way they did it, which is, you know, New World or Ashes isn't going to have that. So when your servers are dead, they are dead. And that's another, you know, I just mentioned that in my last video about this massive world they built with 10,000 person limits. Like, not every server is going to have that. You know, what happens when that population drops down to 3,000 people online at one time? Like, your 1,200 square foot or 1,200 square kilometers looks a lot smaller when there's only 2,000 people running around. So when does Ashes or Intrepid decide that they're going to server merge or whatever? You know, at what point do they start determining these things? It's all stuff to think about. But, like, you know, WoW isn't dead, but it still sucks that when Twitter starts talking about all the streamers, oh, I'm done with WoW because of this choice, or I'm gonna go play this because of that. Like, you don't want to see these people fall off. It always feels bad when the game that you enjoy is taking a shit, because it happened to New World. I'm glad that it's going back up now. But, like, all this stuff, you know, New World was shit at launch. It deserved it. Hopefully Ashes isn't. Once again, Steven is assuring us that it will not be.
I find it very hard to believe that it will be, because if we're running into a plethora of issues when it comes to, you know, bugginess, or just like gaping holes in the systems that aren't working, or even if a system is working perfectly but the players just outright hate it. Like, everybody's making videos about this. Like, let's say the religious system, because
Torghast is a perfect example.
Well, right, exactly. Like, the religious system could be the new Torghast, and
right.
the everybody internally loved it, but the entire player base is just like, this is the stupidest, most dumbest system I have ever seen. And now they're like, dang, how the hell can we pivot? Like, how can we make this system better? Or do we scrap it? Because if we scrap it, it's interconnected to all these other things. Like, and right. How do we scrap those things? And that's why what really worries me about the interconnectedness of a lot of these systems, that if you were to scrap a system, it affects 3 other systems.
Exactly.
So
it's like a big tripod. When one leg comes out, the other 2 are going to tumble. Right. And I have a hard time, and I have voiced this concern before, with the paid testing status. How much does the opinion of someone who paid $500 to test this game differ from someone who paid nothing? Are you going to get the same result? Because you have what you say, like the WoW Andes. You're going to have these Ashes of Creation Andes. Like, the guys who backed it are the guys who already believe in it. So are they going to go in this, you know, are they going to go into this testing with a completely open mind and give true to life feedback on what they see? What I'm really interested to see the opinions of the alpha testers versus the opinions of the masses when they open up the floodgates and let everyone come and test.
Right. The one thing that truly worries me is that the player base is split. Who wins? Does no one win? Does one side win? Like, that's the scary part about it. Like, let's make it a small example for the upcoming Ranger reveal. A lot of people for the Ranger don't want ammunition. They want just complete endless. I shoot my arrows. I don't have to worry about ammo. Ammo's outdated. And then you have a whole other spectrum that's like, oh, I love ammo. Ammo has a place when it comes to professions, and then there's like an immersion with it, and yada yada yada. But what happens if it's a 50-50? What happens if 50% of the people love it, 50% of the people hate it? That's the thing for me when it comes to the feedback, is how is Intrepid going to handle those situations? Like, how are they going to determine, well, damn, like it's truly split. Like, and what if it's split even internally? You know, right. What are they going to do? Just flip a coin and be like, oh, I guess y'all lost. Like, we're going to remove it or add it in.
I think, and because, you know, you've heard Steven say, like, oh, there's a bit of a disagreement internally right now about these systems, blah, blah, blah. You know, we've heard him say that kind of stuff before. But this is all pure speculation, and I don't even know if I should say it out loud. But, like, I think Jeffrey Bard left because of creative differences. Sometimes, and I love Steven's vision, and I love his energy when it comes to his excitement around his game. But I also think he's kind of ruling with an iron fist. I don't want to think that, but I think he's kind of like, you know, this is my game. I'm paying for it. This is how I want it.
Right.
And, you know, and I think that's why Jeffrey Bard, because you can see, like, in the old interviews, in the dev interviews, like, when Steven would say something, you'd see Jeffrey go like, oh shit, you know, like you see it on his face. And like their lead creative, you know,
Designer.
their creative lead left. There hasn't been a new one since. Why? You know, so it's like, so it makes me wonder, like, if half the population is like, this system sucks, Steven's gonna be like, oh well, it's what I want.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, and that's what I'm very curious to see, like, how the player base is going to handle those things.
Right.
Like, look, because I remember Ghostcrawler disagreeing with the player base back in Mr. Pandaria. I forgot for what system, but I mean, Ghostcrawler got a lot of crap back in the day for a lot of the decisions that he says, nope, we're sticking with it because I believe that this is the right direction for the game, for the health of the game. You know, deal with it. Basically, it's going to be there. We're not removing it. And you know, whether it was right or wrong, he stuck to his principles. And I'm just curious to see how Steven or Intrepid is going to handle their principles when it comes to, you know, whatever feedback happens when it comes to the, you know, the game. Because I think feedback, and the reason why I am a content creator, and the reason why I believe in Ashes is because I feel like all of the feedback that I've ever given WoW, basically screaming into a pillow, screaming into a black hole, didn't go anywhere. But I truly,
and it never will.
Yeah, and it never will. But with Intrepid, I do feel like our feedback does get listened to, and it does get noted. And
you know, that's you're I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
You are 100% right. This is the only, and that's, you know, do I think the game's gonna fail? Who knows? Like, we can't call that. You know, am I skeptical, and do I say a lot of things that I don't like? Absolutely. But I also do believe in the product, because I'm an MMO RPG gamer and I love them and I want them to succeed. So I paid for my alpha privilege. I'm in there. And I can't speak for a lot of testers, but you're definitely going to get my honest opinion on everything I have to say about it. But that's the one thing I can say, that one reason I am here is because they are listening to their people. And I get these comments, and if you hear me say this, if you watch Vlhadus's video and you hear me say this, then please stop. Do not come into our comments and say, it's way too early, you shouldn't even be talking about this, you're wasting everybody's time.
I've seen that.
Do not say that. I've gotten that comment so many times. Yeah. This is a pointless topic. This is a pointless video. It's too early. We don't know shit. Well, we kind of do, because Intrepid literally talks about everything all the time. There's an entire wiki based off of Intrepid's own voice.
Right.
And they do listen. If now is not the time to talk about it,
then
and you wait till it's too late, then you're fucked. So shut up. Let me talk about it and provide some good feedback.
And you never know. The thing is, too, is that I feel, and again, this is speculation, but from what people have told me, that are close to people that work at Intrepid, it's not just Steven that watches YouTube. You know, do you have to understand that there are teams of people working on completely different systems? They have their projects, their babies. You know, you had that. I remember Steven talking about that one dude that dressed like a doctor to basically go over the animal husbandry profession. How do you not know that guy's not watching a YouTube video about animal husbandry just to see what people think about it? Because they're literally working on it today. You know what I mean? And that's the whole point. And I do agree with you that if you have an opinion about a certain system, even though it's not finished, or you have just some inkling, hell, even if it is the religion system that we don't know anything about, we don't know what the UI is going to look like, we don't know how we're going to interact with it, but if you have an opinion about it, there could be a person that's working right now on the religious system that's like probably either hurting for some ideas or thinking how the player base is going to lean towards when it comes to religion or whatever. Who knows? Your feedback is still important. That was my argument. I posted one of my videos. I don't post my videos to Reddit because I just can't argue with the Reddit trolls. I don't have time. Just don't have time. But I posted one of my videos to Reddit, and this guy just lit me up, downvoted the shit out of me. This is a blown out topic. Every content creator's already messaged it. It's too early in development. Shouldn't even fucking talk about it. I'm like, come on, dude. I'm like, listen. We are talking about what we know about what Intrepid has already told us. And I'm saying Intrepid, I'm not saying Steven. Right. Intrepid has already talked about this system 1,000 times. We have everything. We already know all their plans. And I said, the reason that we're talking about it now
is because Intrepid talks about this stuff internally, but they're a very small team of people.
Right.
You know, they probably talk about these systems till it's like beating a dead horse. But in the system that they have laid out, what we already know about the system, it might sound perfect to Intrepid. They might see no holes in this, but someone like me or Vlhadus or whatever, the content creator comes in and talks about their system and points out one thing that might be wrong, and then that developer hears it and they go, shit, I didn't think of that.
Right.
You just inspired maybe a positive change, and you'll never know it because they're not going to come out and thank you for it.
Right.
But that's the reason we make content. That's the reason we provide feedback. And I'm providing my feedback off of 23 years of experience. Games have failed more times than I can count. Why did they fail? Yeah. If we don't talk about why they failed, Intrepid's not going to get any ideas to stop their game from failing. It's just that simple. Half the shit I'm not making up. You know what I mean?
What was the analogy? If you do not learn from the past, you're doomed to repeat it. I think that's
yes.
Okay, yeah, that's the quote.
I think you missed a word or two, but you're
probably. I'm not a philosophizer, so I don't really, you know.
That's exactly it. We talk about these systems and we give our opinions and our feedback because we want it to succeed. We're not dooming it to failure. We're just like me. My brain works differently. I immediately hear something and I'm like, but what about this? You know, and I just voice my concern.
Well, for sure. I mean, because I think you're like me. You just want the MMO genre to be healthy again. Like you want it to be on a better track. And again, like I think there are a lot of valid concerns of worry, because of course we haven't seen anything. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are like, you know, well, where are the kind of in-game systems? But I also do agree that it's one thing to show it, it's another thing to play it. And I think that's why I also believe that Alpha 2 is going to be announced very, very soon. December live stream. Stay tuned. That's just speculation, but it's really not. It's really going to be in December 2020.
I agree with you. I think before the end of the year, we will have an Alpha 2 announcement.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But so just to kind of go talk a little bit about Ranger, the whole Ranger reveal. Like, so have you ever played a Ranger Hunter? Like, do you have any kind of like passions about that particular class? Me, I played a Hunter in World of Warcraft for 15 years. So
I have played Hunter.
That was my main.
I played a Ranger and a Bard in EverQuest, but they were different, so I can't really use that as an example. Okay. I played the Ranger. So World of Warcraft Ranger, or I always played survival.
Oh my god, yes, that was me. Black Arrow, Serpent Sting,
explosive shot, all the traps. That shit was so fun.
Yes.
I didn't care about marksman. I didn't care about beast hunter. I don't want to manage pets. I thought that was lame.
Bro, we just became best friends.
I played survival because it was fun as shit. I actually played, so I mained survival through Kata.
Bro, I mained it all the way to WAD before they got rid of it.
I played a rogue for most of my life.
Oh, okay.
But you know, but other than that, like there's something about the action combat archery systems. When I discovered Terra Online and I discovered the Ranger, I think they were called Ranger, whoever had the bow, and like it was like playing a third person shooter. You know, there was no more tab target, there was no more auto lock-ons, like you had to hit, and it just felt so damn cool. And you know, New World's combat gets a lot of fucking hate, and that's fine. But I actually really enjoy the bow and arrow because it's hard. It is so hard to hit your shots. And I think it's cool that New World made like headshots count, right? So you always want to aim high and get that, because it's always a crit if you hit him in the head, which is great. But it's so punishing when you miss your shots. But when you land them, it feels so like there's just something about that. So I do have opinions on the bow and arrow, crossbows, guns, anything that's like hit scan or target tracking, anything like that. Like I'm all for it. I do have some like I know in Ashes of Creation they're going to like the old school WoW method where it's like if you're within like melee distance you can't use your bow,
Right.
which I disagree with because I'm pretty sure I've seen fucking Legolas shoot an orc in the face at point blank. However, you know, but now that makes me think about that a little bit because right, I don't know what Intrepid's final goal is for like action or like hotkeys, right? So in the beta we're limited to 10. You get 10 on the bar and that's it. That's all you get. So like if somebody comes in the melee range, you're not allowed to do anything. So now are you splitting your active abilities between ranged and melee just for that one off, or like are you gonna have a different loadout? Like if it's a raid boss and you don't have to worry about melee, you can go full ranged. Or if you're out in the world adventuring and you find like I don't know, a sticky rogue or like a fighter that you just can't get away from. So now do you want to plan half your buttons to be melee? Like obviously this all comes like we have to test it, we have to see what their abilities are.
Right.
But and it was always interesting in World of Warcraft because you had like Raptor Strike and Wing Clip back in the day, right? And that's what you needed to try to do to get away.
Yeah. I like back when the day
like,
when freezing trap or when Wing Clip didn't do any damage. So you can freezing trap and Wing Clip when they're in the freeze. Yeah. So that way when they get out, they're slowed like almost like 60 or 70%.
But it was always really hard, like as a rogue, because they would just pop sprint. And it was really, really hard for you to like do anything. You're just Raptor Strike, and you're hoping your pet's gonna like. It was just kind of lame. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with that aspect of the Ranger, and I think we're just gonna have to wait till. I think we're just gonna have to wait until
Friday.
Like it makes me wonder. I don't know. Like I have like, are they just gonna show us like ranged auto attacks, or are we gonna see like they did like the cleric and the tank and the mage breakdowns? They kind of showed off other abilities.
I think, and again, this is all speculation. I think. Let me just start off with this one. We are going to get our first glimpse of the brand new UI. I think we're going to see that for the very first time this Friday. I think we're going to see a whole kit. I think we're going to see like a loadout, a whole loadout. I think Steven's going to go over all of the abilities. I think we also might get our first glimpse of the talent tree, of like the talent system, of like the passives, the weapons, the class talent tree. And I think we're going to kind of get a little deep, not too deep, but I think we're going to get as deep as we've ever gotten when it comes to a class.
I hope.
That's what
I hope so, because like just a couple months ago, like they showed us the melee update and all we got was autos with like 2 abilities, which weren't even real. I mean, the whirlwind was cool, but that dumb hammer, I thought the hammer was kind of lame.
I liked it. It was cool.
It's neat and all, but like I don't know, man.
It reminds me of like the paladin, the judgment,
Yeah, and I know it's way too early to complain because of spell effects and they're still working through it and stuff. I'd love to see it when it's finished, but from what I saw, like, and that's the other thing, like everybody lost their minds over that content update. And I'm like, bro, just combat. It wasn't the coolest thing in the world, massive update over what we had, but so like it makes me wonder, how do we go from a couple months ago, all we have is new and still being iterated upon combat melee animations to a fully fleshed out Ranger kit? I hope that's the case, but I mean, it really all comes to their goal with this action tab target hybrid combat, because I feel like if you're playing a ranged class or a ranger or what, any ranged class, you're automatically going to go tab target.
Oh, for sure.
Why wouldn't you if you have that world? Because like how many times in World of Warcraft when you're playing PvP, you're literally just like running, dropping slow traps, hitting them with concussion shots so they can't chase you, and you're like jumping, spinning your camera, shooting backwards, because you don't even have to look exactly at them. You just have to get them in your frontal cone of vision, and that counts as line of sight. And you would hit arcane shot, and then you would just immediately spin your camera, and you're just kiting. And that's how you kite, because tab target allows you to do that.
Right.
Well, think about doing that in a world where it's action combat.
Can I give you my opinion on the Ranger? Absolutely. And I also want to say this for the Cleric and the Mage, is I feel, and this is just my opinion, that the basic attack should be locked to tab only. So when you're wanding, when you're shooting a bow, any kind of like for wands specifically for the mage and the cleric and stuff like that in the bow and arrow, you can't aim that. You can't aim your basic attack. The reason why is it sets everybody on an even playing field, because for the cleric, for the mage, and for the ranger, there's going to be a mixture of tab abilities and action abilities. And I think that's the way it should be personally, because this whole idea of swapping between action and tab for basic attacks is going to be super muddy, and it's going to be a complicated mess to explain. It's probably going to be a complicated mess to balance. But if you just hard lock it that, hey, for basic attacks only, it's locked to tab.
I kind of like that. Like, I think that works. However, did you play the alpha? I can never remember.
No, I did not. I wish.
So the wand,
right?
And I know this is a bad example. Like, I shouldn't even be talking about it or comparing it because it's not relevant. Right. But the wand in alpha, because in alpha you could just hit X and it would tab between tab target and lock on. There was no separation. And all the abilities on all the classes worked in that tandem, so it was kind of nice. Right. But the wand was so strong, and it was so fast because you were like, and it was shooting missiles. And like, if you use tab target and you just put it on a target and you spammed Q for your auto attack, it was devastating. Yep. And like, there were times you'd get in PvP fights, and that's all you had to do.
Just
run, just run, and kind of run at a weird, just kind of run at like a weird angle, so you could still kind of, and just spam Q, and it was the dumbest thing.
Right.
But yeah, I know damage balance and all that, this, that, and the other. But it's like, that's what I think about when I think about tab target ranged combat. And I think to myself, if I'm the warrior that decided to do, because I know that like they force you to do a balance, or at least that's what they say, right? Like 70% tab target, 30% action combat, or the other way around. Right. Like, if I'm the warrior that decided to go action combat, and this hunter or ranger goes 70% tab target, and I'm just trying to chase him and aim my abilities the right way, I feel like that's going to be a hard time. Well, but I don't know. Like I said, it all comes down to testing.
Well, for sure. And you got to think of the reason why I say the tab has to be hard locked for basic attacks is because I'm thinking of sieges. I'm thinking of these huge battles. And that way, the action abilities are actually devastating, because you have to aim them. You can balance it in a way that your tab abilities are going to kind of do, decent damage, right? Because, you can, whether there's like the chances of like miss, or there's like a hit and expertise cap that you may have to hit, or there's just, you're always hitting and you can balance it that way as well. But that way, the action abilities, like if there's an actual aim shot, that when you aim shot, there is no tabbed version of aim shot. It is literally, you have to aim your shot and hit it. But if you hit, it's a big hit, and it makes those abilities feel meaningful, feeling like you're a Hawkeye. Like, dude, like that's what I would love personally, because I'm a huge fan of rotation. I think, coming from World of Warcraft, what I love about classes is the nuances when it comes to learning and understanding your cooldowns, how that interacts with your rotation, and finding that rotation the best possible way. And of course the animations, the sounds, like, you know what I mean? Like there's a whole bunch of
shaman, man.
Dude. Oh,
there's nothing cooler than an enhancement shaman.
I love enhancement. Yes, I completely agree.
Sounds and particles are just
yeah, the grittiness of the sounds on some of them are really good. But yeah, like that's what I love. And I really hope for some of these big brain 5-head plays, especially in these castle sieges, that the action abilities are very, very relevant. And you may not want to stack all of your abilities with action abilities. Like, if you're a very skilled player, hell, there may be a whole build that's like 70-30. But if you mess up, like, you're not going to do damage. But if you can pull it off, you will be king of the damage. Like, you will do all the big damage. And I like that trade-off personally. Like, coming as a tab person.
That's one of the things that I'm most excited for, is figuring out the builds, right?
Right.
I have my issues like with certain classes, like the tank class. I know everybody's putting out a tank video right now. I watched your tank video. I watched Narc's tank video. and it sparks a lot of ideas because I just don't agree with some things. But like,
Me too.
you know, my issue with like the tank class in Ashes is it's a tank class. You better fucking love tanking because that's all you get to do.
Right.
If you take tank as your primary archetype, that's all that you get to do. So it makes me wonder about class choice and how your secondary archetype is going to affect that. Like, I know it's all augments, but the augments are going to mutate damage and stuff. So trying to find the builds that work the way you want them to, it's really exciting. But like you said with because action combat skills are by nature AoE, right? They're going to hit anything in their path.
Right.
And the one thing that I don't know how you can get away with it. Like I said, I'm dumb. I'm not a game developer, so I don't know how you can get away with it. But like, you know, these castle sieges are super cool, and everyone's excited about like this 500 versus 500 stuff that they keep, you know,
right,
that they kind of keep talking about and showing off and whatever. But it's like, think about it. What does every big group battle in every MMO look like ever? It's just meteors,
yeah,
snowfalls, rain of arrows. That's all there is. What happens when there's 1,000 of those? Is that really fun? Does that really like make the siege like new and exciting and different if like you're fighting over a point and all it is just massive? Because everyone's like, all right guys, we're gonna go into a siege, everybody go 70% action combat so you can deal the most AoE damage per attack.
Well,
do you want to go tab target and have more of like your more strategic and focused style gameplay?
Right. I think a lot of the AoEs, and this is just maybe another hot take, should have actually a relatively long cooldown. Like if you're going to have a blizzard or like a volley, you know, like a rain of arrows, like it should be a 45-second cooldown, a minute cooldown. Right. So that way you're not constantly just spamming meteor, blizzard, rain of arrows. You know what I mean? Like,
how do you feel about World of Warcraft's AoE cap? This AoE ability can hit 5 targets max.
I think certain abilities are fine to be capped. I think others are dumb to be capped. I think Bladestorm. How can you cap Bladestorm? How can you
cap Rain of Arrows? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. There's certain things that I think would be okay capped if it made sense to the ability. But if there's 20 people and you're Bladestorming, like your animation is hitting all 20 people, like you should hit all 20 people. But I think the damage should scale kind of downward a little bit if you are hitting that much. So the lesser you hit, the powerful it is. But again, think of it logically. Like if you're Bladestorming and there's 20 people, it's hard to swing around that sword when you're literally slicing and dicing everybody. But if there's only a couple people, then you can slice it a lot easier. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's kind of like my philosophy when it comes to it. That could be another hot take too. But I guess to kind of wrap up our discussion, because I couldn't even believe we're already been talking for an hour and 10 minutes. These things always pass by so fast for me. I guess like, so what is the one thing that you're hoping to see from this Friday's live stream? Like, are you wanting to see more of like just an actual deep dive into a class so we can actually see what's going on there?
I honestly don't know what I expect. You know, Ranger or any kind of like bow class, it's never been my favorite, right?
Right.
I think I'm just hoping to less about the class itself and just more about their hybrid system. Because that's what really, because the hybrid system is going to affect everything.
Yes.
Not just the Ranger, not just the melee classes. It's going to affect everything. And that's their big selling point, right? That's the great divide for Ashes of Creation.
Yes, it is.
Action versus tab target. That's what it all comes down to. One, everyone always says combat has to be the most funnest thing in the MMO to keep it alive. I agree. Combat has to be fun, has to be engaging, has to make you want to do it. Two, there's a big, tab target MMORPGs have always been king. All of the like BDO aside, because BDO is just
BDO.
It's BDO. Like,
yeah.
Some people love it, some people hate it. If you asked me what the best action combat MMORPG was, it was Terra.
A lot of people say that. Terra
For me personally, it felt so fun. I couldn't stop it. Like, you just always wanted to be fighting. And the PvP made that even more exciting. Now, BDO has great action combat as well. But it's a weird combo system with like random buttons and shit popping up on your screen that you have to, you know, and if you give it time, of course, you're going to figure that stuff out. But tab target, to me, is it dated? Yes. But it still functions and it works. But I think that's why people want to get away from it, because I think people want to get away from tab target because it's World of Warcraft.
Right.
And that's just the long and the short of it. Anything that is similar to World of Warcraft, people hate and they talk trash about because it's World of Warcraft. Because somebody at some point told them to hate World of Warcraft, or maybe they developed their own feelings, whatever. And I honestly think that that's the one reason that people are like, no tab targeting ever. Is it just because of World of Warcraft? They don't have any good argument other than it's just, I mean, you know, it came from the game that they hate. So I think that's what I want to see the most.
Yeah, there's certain people that have a really hard preference for action. But like you said, like, where are all the action MMOs then? Like, didn't Terra shut down?
Yeah, they finally shut down.
Yeah,
they ran for about 10 years, but it just, even for a free-to-play game, and and they were on like what, Unreal 4, 3,
possibly. I think it was under Unreal 3. But I mean,
it definitely started to look its age, and you know, it didn't have the optimization was kind of bad. It's probably better now that people have better computer. I haven't played it in the last couple of years.
I mean, even New World, there was a lot of people. I mean, again, there was a lot of stuff in the forums going on at the start of New World, but a lot of people didn't like the action.
It was very basic.
Yeah, they didn't like the action combat. So
I think it was fine for what it was, for the game that it was. What the combat was fun if you got the right combination of weapons. But is it going to win any awards? No, absolutely not.
So I don't know. I think the way to go with action is to keep it beefy, keep it aimed, and keep it locked to action. Like, if there is an aim shot, there is no tabbed version of aim shot. Like, I think there should be certain tabbed abilities that have a variation of tab to action, right? But I think there's some abilities that should be tab only and action only. So you have like a versatile ability and one that's hard locked into either or. And and that should be the way they go. And again, basic attacks, at least for the wand and the bow, should be hard locked to tab. And that's the only way you can do it. Because again, I feel that's going to be very muddy to have the ability to go action and tab for the basic arrow attack and the wand. Because again, I saw a lot of footage on the wand. The wand was brutally deadly.
It was not even fair, dude.
Yeah. But Roar, dude, thank you so much, man, for having this conversation and being able to just come on and, you know, have this chat with me, because I know we've been needing to do this for a bit now. So I'm glad we were able to finally do it end of the month, right before the live stream.
I love talking about MMOs. I love especially having, you know, somebody with an open mind about it as well to talk to. So it always means a lot. So, and I'm happy to be here.
I know there's a lot of people that I'm like, how are people so close-minded when it comes to, like, you know, like MMO is very tribalistic, right? And I feel like a lot of people have very, very strong opinions on it. But at the end of the day, like, you know, even if we disagreed on something, okay, like, we have one disagreement, like, it's not the end of the world. Like, and again, hell, we both could be wrong. They could, like, you know, we could be fighting on what Ashes should do, and then Ashes does something completely left field, and it's something neither of us wanted or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
At the end of the day, we just want to have a good game. But where can people find you? I know you have a YouTube, which I'm going to definitely link at the bottom of this description. Twitter, you have a Twitter, right?
I do. I do have Twitter. I'm active every day. You know, I respond to stuff that I see that needs to be responded to, and, you know, just that, this, that, and the other. So Twitter, Roarrior, YouTube, Roarrior, and Twitch. Although I'm probably not going to be over there anymore because I don't like streaming. So don't even worry about that.
I will leave all those links in the description. So if you want to follow more of his content, and Roar, you actually upload like once a week at least, right, for your content?
Trying to do a couple times a week.
Couple of times a week. So
every now and then I'll go through a drought, but like I've got some. If you like hot takes, I am not the guy that's gonna just suck this game's wiener and make it out to be the greatest thing in the world. That's for sure. That ain't me. So if you like hot takes and controversial topics, I'm the guy for you.
Well, I know there's always people looking for consistent, like, people that pump out Ashes content.
Absolutely.
So again, Roarrior's another person that does, you know, every week he's gonna have some bit of content for you. But guys, if you like this conversation, hey, hit that thumbs up button. It helps the podcast out for the YouTube algorithm gods to help. Feed it and get it pumped out to more people so they can actually hear these awesome conversations and these one-on-ones I've been doing with the community. You know, share it around, put it on Discords or whatever people you want to, you know, share it to. Again, my name is Vlhadus with Vlhadus Gaming. That is Roarrior. This is the 1v1 podcast, and we will see you guys in the next one. Later.
Take care.